Hey World Tempest family, I hope you guys had a great start to 2021. I know I did. Now I'm back in the office. On the bright side, I have a new watch to share with you guys. So the new Zenith Chronomaster Sport 41mm represents a re-establishment of the Chronomaster models in terms of design and identity with some mechanical upgrades as well. So we're going to take you through exactly what that means. The new Chronomaster Sport 41mm comes with the configuration of a classic sports watch with a wide bezel, tapered lugs, 369 counters against a solid dial. Now, normally in modern versions of this type of steel sports watch, you would see external protective elements such as crown and pusher guards that highlight how this watch can be worn in the context of an active lifestyle. The Chronomaster Sport 41 has the exposed pump pushers or sports chronographs from an earlier era, which is totally in keeping with the legacy aspect of the El Primero caliber which inhabits the watch. This also maintains the identity of the Chronomaster as distinct and separate from the Defy collection, which incorporates sleeker oblong chronograph pushers. Now, before this model was released, the current Chronomaster collection had 38mm and 42mm versions. So this 41mm model occupies a position between these two. Now, this may not sound like a huge departure in terms of size, but it really works in context of creating a more wearable watch with a contemporary sports aesthetic. You'll see immediately what I mean when you get the chance to put one of these on your wrist. Something to keep in mind when adjusting the diameter of a watch is that it's not as simple as reducing or increasing all the dimensions in a straightforward mathematical way. Some movement components can't be moved easily, so a lot of effort goes into refining the size and overall layout so that everything still looks completely harmonious and natural to the eye. Another clear advantage of the 41mm diameter is that the Chronomaster Sport is totally versatile across smaller and larger wrists in casual or formal environments. So the heritage of the El Primero movement is kind of a huge deal. It debuted in 1969, and you'll find plenty of discussions out there as to whether or not it was really the first automatic integrated chronograph movement created. I'm not getting into this discussion because I don't find it super relevant. Being the first is less important than having longevity, in my opinion. Facebook wasn't the first social network, Google wasn't the first search engine, but how many of their predecessors are still in use today? We can at least say that the El Primero was the first ever automatic integrated chronograph with a high-speed balance. Something that actually makes sense for a chronograph when you need things like precision and stability. I was on WhatsApp yesterday with the head of product at Zenith, the delightful Romain Marietta, and he was able to outline a couple of improvements they've made to the El Primero in recent years that have really boosted its utility for the wearer. I'm referring to the increased power reserve of 60 hours, which is significant for a high-frequency chronograph. In principle, higher frequencies equal less power reserve. And while this shouldn't really matter in an automatic watch, the fact is that the Zenith R&D team are always coming up with ways to improve our experience with their watches. The same goes with the central chronograph hand on the Chronomaster Sport, which actually makes one full rotation in 10 seconds. Now, this is a feature that you'll remember we first saw in the El Primero Striking 10th that was first presented in 2010, and I love how it fully really showcases the true capability of the 5 Hz balance of the El Primero. The El Primero caliber has always been able to accurately measure tenths of a second since its inception, but the Striking 10th models were the first to really highlight this rare strength. A decade after the first Zenith Striking 10 chronograph, now with a power reserve and optimized readability, it's still as impressive as ever. Now I want to talk a little about what this timepiece means for Zenith and for you guys as customers, consumers, and watch lovers. As we all know, the first few years of Zenith's comeback in recent years were mostly focused on the Defy collection, which emphasized the brand's mission to build the future of mechanical watchmaking. That's why we saw models such as the Defy Lab, the Defy 21, and the new Zero G, which is an evolution of the Christophe Colomb gyroscopic balance concept. I was on the phone yesterday with the fabulous Julien Tornard, Zenith's CEO since 2017, and one of the insights that he shared with me was how the Chronomaster needed a little time to rest and chill out, so to speak, before they started realigning it with their new vision of how to go ahead with this collection. he told me that, I'm not going to try and do his voice, the Chronomaster had been done in so many different ways. Everyone understood it differently, everyone had his own take on what this collection meant, and what he wanted to do was to clarify the Chronomaster identity a little. We've seen over the last couple of years, starting in 2019, the 50th anniversary of the El Primero, two strong sub-identities of the Chronomaster. The classic Chronomaster, slim and elegant, and the revival Chronomaster with its heritage aesthetic. The Chronomaster Sport forms the third sub-identity of this collection. It's contemporary and versatile. Julien actually calls it the most mainstream model in the current Zenith offering, and it's easy to see why. It pulls together the strongest features of a couple of historical Zenith models that collectors really love, the Zenith De Luca and the Rainbow, both iconic sports watches with a very specific look. The point is, if you're coming from the perspective of someone who isn't too familiar with Zenith history, it's a good looking watch, versatile and contemporary, and if you do happen to know something about Zenith's past, it's a great little hidden feature that you can pick up on. So what people are going to be asking is, should I buy this watch? The version that I have in my hands right now, white dial, black ceramic bezel, steel case and bracelet, retails at 9,900 Swiss francs, which puts it in an attractive position in the market, especially when you consider the quality and the heritage of the movement inside. If things like horological legitimacy and brand history are important to you, I definitely think you should go check out this watch and let us know what you think.